The music industry does not care if you survive. It will take your worst moment, your deepest trauma, your suicidal confession, package it with a nice cover, and sell it to teenagers who think it sounds cool. These songs made millions of dollars. They also cost their creators everything. Today, we are counting down 10 rock songs that destroyed the lives of the people who wrote them.
And I wrote down this song.
James Taylor wrote this song in pieces, each verse capturing a different tragedy. The first verse is about Suzanne Schnurr, a childhood friend who had helped Taylor through difficult times. While he was recording in London, Suzanne took her own life. His management kept the news from him for months, afraid it would derail the sessions. When Taylor finally learned the truth, the guilt was crushing. He had not been there. He had not even known. The second verse addresses his struggle with heroin addiction and his time in a psychiatric hospital. The third reflects on the collapse of his first band, Flying Machine, and the feeling that everything he built kept falling apart. Fire and Rain became one of the defining songs of the early 70s singer-songwriter movement. But for Taylor, it was therapy, a way to process losses he could barely speak about. He has said in interviews that the song still brings back the weight of those years every time he performs it.
Girl, you know the reason.
John Lennon wrote this during the Beatles' famous trip to India in 1968, a time that was supposed to bring peace and enlightenment. Instead, Lennon was miserable. The lyrics are unflinching. References to feeling suicidal, declarations of loneliness so intense they border on desperation. Lennon later admitted the song was not an artistic exercise. It was exactly how he felt. The fame, the pressure, the crumbling marriage to his first wife Cynthia, the sense that he had lost himself somewhere along the way. The other Beatles treated the song as a bluesy jam, but Lennon was deadly serious. He was falling apart in front of millions of people, and almost nobody noticed. Eddie Vedder has never fully explained who this song is about. What he has said is that it came from a place of complete emotional devastation. Black is a breakup song, but not the kind you sing along to at parties. It is the kind that sits in your chest like a stone. The narrator watches the person he loves walk away and realizes he will never recover. The final moments of the track where Vedder repeats that he knows someday she will have a beautiful life, were not even in the original lyrics. He improvised them in the studio, overcome by emotion. Pearl Jam refused to release Black as a single despite pressure from their label. The song was too personal, too raw. Vedder did not want it turned into a radio hit that people would forget in 6 months. He wanted it to hurt the way it hurt him. Morrissey built his career on melancholy, but Still Ill cuts deeper than most. The song is a meditation on disillusionment, on waking up every day and wondering if anything matters, on feeling trapped in a life that was supposed to mean something but never delivered on its promises. The lyrics ask whether the dreams we had as children were lies, whether the jobs we take and the lives we build are just elaborate ways of hiding from the emptiness underneath. For Morrissey, who struggled with depression throughout his life, Still Ill was not performance. It was confession. The Smiths gave voice to a generation of outsiders who felt like they did not belong anywhere. But for their frontman, the alienation was not an act. Michael Stipe wrote this song specifically for people who were thinking about ending their lives. The lyrics are simple, on purpose, direct, almost childlike in their repetition. Hold on, you are not alone. Everybody hurts sometimes. Stipe wanted the message to reach teenagers who might not hear it any other way. The band was initially uncertain about releasing something so nakedly emotional. R.E.M. had built their reputation on cryptic lyrics and jangly guitars. Everybody Hurts was a departure, a plea disguised as a ballad. It became one of their biggest hits and has been credited by fans with literally saving lives. But for Stipe, the song came from watching people he cared about struggle with depression and feeling helpless to do anything except put words to the pain.
abandoned places.
By 1991, Freddie Mercury was dying. The AIDS diagnosis had been kept private, but his bandmates knew. When Brian May brought him the music for The Show Must Go On, a soaring anthem about perseverance in the face of destruction, there was real doubt whether Mercury could even record it. His voice was weakened. His body was failing. Mercury asked for vodka, walked into the booth, and delivered one of the greatest vocal performances of his career. The song became Mercury's final statement, a declaration of dignity in the face of death. The lyrics about having to find the will to carry on hit differently when you know the man singing them had weeks to live. Mercury died just weeks after the song was released. He never performed it live. This song should have ended Blood Rock's career. In many ways, it did. D.O.A. is a first-person account of dying in a plane crash. The narrator describes seeing his own blood, feeling his life slip away, hearing sirens that arrive too late. The production includes actual ambulance sounds and a droning organ that sounds like a funeral march. Radio stations banned it. Critics called it exploitative. Audiences were horrified. But the song climbed to number 36 on the Billboard charts anyway. Driven by morbid curiosity, Blood Rock became known as the Death Song Band. They could never escape the association. Every subsequent release was compared to that one macabre hit, The Weight of D.O.A. Crushed everything else they tried to do. This song is a ghost story. Syd Barrett was the original leader of Pink Floyd, the visionary who shaped their early psychedelic sound. But by 1968, his mental health had deteriorated so severely that the band had to replace him. Barrett disappeared into isolation, a casualty of LSD and undiagnosed mental illness. 7 years later, Pink Floyd was in Abbey Road Studios recording an album dedicated to their lost friend. The centerpiece was Shine On You Crazy Diamond, a 9-part tribute to Barrett's brilliance and collapse.
Did you exchange?
Then something impossible happened. A heavy-set man with a shaved head and no eyebrows wandered into the studio. The band did not recognize him at first. It was Syd Barrett. He had come unannounced, a phantom appearing while they recorded songs about his absence. Roger Waters broke down in tears. The band played him the music they had written in his honor. Barrett showed no sign of understanding it was about him. He left without saying goodbye. None of them ever saw him again. In July 1977, Led Zeppelin was at the peak of their power, filling stadiums with 80,000 fans. Robert Plant was in New Orleans preparing for a show at the Superdome when he received a phone call from his wife. Their 5-year-old son, Carrick, had fallen ill with a stomach infection. 2 hours later, a second call came. Carrick was dead. The tour was canceled immediately. Plant flew home and disappeared from public life. He seriously considered never singing again. 2 years later, Led Zeppelin recorded In Through the Outdoor. Plant channeled his grief into a ballad called All My Love. The lyrics describe a feather in the wind, a flame that dims, a thread that has no end. It was the most vulnerable song the band had ever recorded. Jimmy Page and John Bonham thought it was too soft for Led Zeppelin. Plant did not care. He later called it one of the band's finest moments. It was the only way he could say goodbye to his son.
To see if I still feel
Trent Reznor wrote this song in a bedroom that had once belonged to Sharon Tate. He was renting the house in Los Angeles, where the Manson family murders had taken place in 1969. The outline of the word pig, painted over but still visible on the door, haunted the space. Reznor named his studio Le Pig and descended into one of the darkest periods of his life. Hurt was the result, a song about self-harm, addiction, and the desperate need to feel something when depression has made everything numb. The opening lines about hurting himself to see if he still feels are not metaphor. They are confession. Reznor almost left the song off the downward spiral. It felt too vulnerable, too much like admitting he needed help he was not ready to ask for.
to see if I still feel
He later said writing it felt like sitting in a pile of rubble with a hint of regret and remorse. Years later, Johnny Cash recorded a cover that transformed the song into a meditation on mortality. When Reznor saw the video of the dying country legend singing his words, he wept. "That song is not mine anymore," he said. But it started as his, a cry from the darkest place he had ever been. Rock and roll is built on pain, on turning suffering into sound, on screaming into the void and hoping someone screams back. These 10 songs came from places most people never visit: depression, addiction, grief so heavy it breaks you. The artist who wrote them did not just perform sadness, they lived it. If any of these stories resonated with you, tell us which one in the comments. And if you are struggling right now, remember what Michael Stipe sang: "Everybody hurts, but you are not alone."